Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Expensive Coin World, where we dive deep into the world of coins, collectibles. And there, that 1994 Australian 5-cent coin is a prolific piece of everyday currency, with roughly 146 million minted, featuring Queen Elizabeth II's third effigy on the obverse and the distinctive echidna on the reverse, designed by Stuart Devlin, marked by his tiny ST initials. Crafted at the Royal Australian Mint, it retains the familiar 12-sided shape and continues the classic coinage design established at Australia's decimalisation. And like your mention of Liberté, Egalite, Fraternit, and Lagerfeuille, which actually pertain to the French 5 centimes coin of the Fifth Republic, celebrated for its artistry and historical resonance, the Australian 5-cent remains utilitarian rather than commemorative. If you'd like a deeper exploration of either coin in terms of mintage trends, variations, collector value, or historical context, just say the word. The 1994 French 5 centimes coin bearing the inscription Liberté, Egalite, Fraternit was part of France's modern Fifth Republic coinage, struck in aluminium bronze alloy and designed by the renowned sculptor Henri Lagerfeuille, whose name is often associated with the elegant obverse depiction of Marianne, the national symbol of the French Republic, wearing a Phrygian cap and facing right. This allegorical portrait embodies the ideals of liberty and democracy, while the reverse shows the denomination 5 centimes framed by wheat ears, oak leaves, and laurel branches, symbolic of agriculture, strength, and victory, along with the national motto encircling the upper rim. The coin, lightweight and golden in tone, measures 19 millimeters in diameter and weighs about 3.9 grams with a smooth edge, and was minted in large numbers for everyday transactions in French francs prior to the euro's introduction in 2002. In contrast, the 1994 Australian 5-cent coin features the third official effigy of Queen Elizabeth II by sculptor Raphael David Makhlouf on its obverse, with the legend Elizabeth to Australia 1994 around her profile, and on the reverse the iconic curled echidna designed by Stuart Devlin, accompanied by the numeral 5 to denote its value. Struck in a cupronickel alloy, the Australian coin is small, 19.41 millimeters diameter to 0.83 grams, with a milled edge, and was issued in huge mintage over 146 million pieces as part of Australia's decimal series introduced in 1966. While the French coin carries strong political symbolism and artistic heritage linked to the sculptural traditions of the Republic, the Australian piece is more functional in nature, representing stability in the nation's currency system. Both coins, however, serve as cultural touchstones, one celebrating Republican ideals and artistry, the other preserving a distinctive native animal motif in circulating currency, making them fascinating study subjects for numismatists who appreciate design, history, and the narratives embedded in everyday money. The next up top to the 2008 Australian 5-cent coin is a small denomination of Australia's decimal currency system. Introduced in 1966, struck by the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra, it is made from a copper-nickel alloy containing approximately 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighing about 2.83 grams, with a diameter of 19.41 millimeters and a reeded milled edge. On the obverse, it features the fourth portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by British sculptor Ian Rank Broadley, in which the Queen faces right, wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland diamond tiara. Around the portrait is the legend Elizabeth to Australia 208, with the initials IRB beneath the neck truncation. The reverse depicts the long-spined echidna, an iconic Australian monotreme, curled protectively around its body with quills radiating outward. The large numeral 5 is placed above its lower body, and the designer Stuart Devlin's initials SD appear subtly in the design. Millions of these coins were minted for circulation in 2008, making them common, though certain mint errors such as off-center strikes or partial color errors can be valuable to collectors. In contrast, the words Liberté, Egalite, Fraternit, French for liberty, equality, fraternity, and the term republic with the artist's name Lagerfeuille belong to French Republic coinage. Since the 20th century, France has issued various centime and eurocent coins bearing this motto, a national slogan dating back to the French Revolution and enshrined in the Constitution. The name Philippe Lagerfeuille appears on certain modern French eurocent coins as the sculptor or engraver of Marianne or other allegorical motifs representing the French Republic. These coins are struck by the Monnaie de Paris Mint and typically show a stylized figure of Marianne symbolizing liberty, with the surrounding legend Republique Francaise and the three-word motto on the reverse or edge, depending on denomination and year. Because your text strings these elements together, it's important to note that there is no official coin combining the Australian 2008 5-cent design with the French motto or Lagerfeulle's artwork. However, for collectors, both have distinct value. The Australian 5-cent piece is part of the everyday currency system and appeals to those collecting date sets or mint errors, while coins designed by Lagerfeuille under the French Republic's authority carry cultural and artistic appeal, representing national identity and European integration. By understanding each element of materials, minting process, designers, and inscriptions, you can correctly identify the origin and authenticity of each coin, avoid mix-ups in cataloging, and appreciate the separate historical and cultural stories each side of your description tells. The next up, top 3, the inscription Liberté Égalité, Fraternité Liberty Equality. Fraternity is the national motto of the French Republic and a powerful symbol of the ideals born from the French Revolution of 1789. It has appeared on French coins for well over a century, from the silver francs of the late 19th century through to modern euro cent pieces. On modern French 5-cent euro coins, minted since the euro's introduction in 2002, the motto may be seen on commemorative or certain national designs, especially when created for collector issues. The engraver Lagerfeuille, in full, Fabien Courchid Lagerfeuille, is a renowned French artist who has worked with Monnaie de Paris, designing several coin motifs including some that bear the distinctive Marianne or other Republican imagery. The 5-cent denomination, depending on context, could refer either to a French 5-cent euro coin or to the pre-euro 5 centimes. These small bronze-plated steel coins are generally about 21 millimeters in diameter, reddish-brown in color, and lightweight, with a value of 1/20th of a euro. Their reverse usually shows a stylized young plant sprouting from the earth, symbolizing growth, continuity, and sustainable development, a theme chosen to represent both France's agricultural traditions and its modern environmental awareness. The obverse bears the national side designed by Lagerfeuille or another artist depending on year, with the large numeral 5, the word Eurocent, and the European globe design surrounded by the 12 stars of the European Union. However, your request also mentions 2014 Australia Elizabeth II, which connects to an entirely different tradition of coinage. Australia's 5-cent coin has been in circulation since 1966, introduced with decimalization, and is made of cupronickel 75% copper, 25% nickel. It is one of the smallest circulating coins in Australia, both in value and in physical size, just 19.41 millimeters in diameter and weighing 0.83 grams. Its obverse features the profile of Queen Elizabeth II, as Australia is part of the Commonwealth realm. In 2014, the portrait used was by Ian Rank Broadley with the inscription Elizabeth to Australia to 014. The reverse features the echidna, a unique Australian monotreme designed by Stuart Devlin, Australia's official coin designer for decades. Because Republic and Elizabeth II Australia cannot exist together on a genuine coin as one represents a republic, the other a constitutional monarchy, it's likely this is a theoretical, fantasy, or misattributed coin description, perhaps the result of mixing numismatic details from different sources, or a souvenir token that blends designs. There are also cases in the collecting world where mu coins struck with mismatched dies from two different issues, are produced accidentally or intentionally, creating oddities with high collector interest. For example, if an Australian 5-cent reverse were accidentally paired with a French obverse, purely hypothetical, such a piece would be instantly recognizable as an error and fetch significant value among collectors. In the broader numismatic context, Each part of your description has its own collectible pathway. French Liberté Ecolite fraternity coins are cherished for their revolutionary symbolism, with values depending on mintage year, condition, and rarity of mintmark variations. Australian 5-cent coins, while common in circulation, are collected in high-grade uncirculated condition or in proof sets. Certain low mintage years or errors such as off-center strikes or die cracks carry premium prices. Lagerfeld design coins have artistic appeal, especially among collectors focusing on modern French coinage. A coin enthusiast encountering the full description you've given would immediately suspect either a fantasy issue, a coin created for artistic or commemorative purposes outside official mint production, or a mix-up of catalog descriptions. Regardless, the elements you've listed connect to rich traditions of coin design, the French Republican symbolism and the Commonwealth monarchy imagery, offering a fascinating case study in how national identity is expressed through coinage. The next up top for the inscription Liberté Ecolite Fraternité, meaning liberty, equality, fraternity, is the official motto of the French Republic. It dates back to the French Revolution 1789 to 1799, when revolutionary ideals sought to replace the monarchy with a republic grounded in universal rights and civic equality. The motto represents 3 pillars: liberty, the freedom of individuals from oppressive authority; equality, the fair treatment of all citizens under the law; and fraternity, the solidarity and mutual aid among citizens. This phrase appears on French coins, stamps, and public buildings, serving as a reminder of France's republican values. In numismatics, its appearance on coinage is not only a patriotic emblem, but also a legal declaration of the nation's political identity. On French coins, it often encircles or accompanies national symbols such as Marianne, the personification of France, or agricultural motifs like olive and oak branches, symbols of peace and strength. By contrast, the Australian 5-cent coin is part of Australia's decimal currency, introduced in 1966 to replace the pre-decimal system. The obverse front of the coin bears the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, reflecting Australia's status as a constitutional monarchy within the Commonwealth. The 2003 issue features the portrait designed by Ian Rank Broadley, introduced in 1999. This portrait is notable for its realism. It depicts the Queen facing right, wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. Around the portrait is the legend Elizabeth to Australia 203. The reverse back of the Australian 5-cent coin depicts an echidna, a spiny monotremes native to Australia, designed by Stuart Devlin, the master of Australian decimal coin designs. The coin is made of cupronickel 75% copper, 25% nickel, weighs 2.83 grams, and has a diameter of 19.41 millimeters. The reference to Republic alongside Lagerfeld points toward the French engraver Laurent Lagerfeld, who is credited with designing the obverse of several French euro coins introduced in 2002. His work often portrays Marianne in a modern, stylized way, with flowing hair and a confident gaze, symbolizing the forward-looking nature of the French Republic. Lagerfeld's Marianne blends classical beauty with contemporary graphic sharpness, making his designs stand out among European coinage. On his coins, the words Republic front case appear prominently, accompanied by the motto, Liberté Ecolite Fraternité. If we imagine a coin that combined these features, hypothetically, it would unite two worlds, the Commonwealth monarchy tradition of Australia and the Republican ideals of France. Such a coin could be viewed as a symbolic fusion piece, representing both colonial history and revolutionary democracy. In reality, however, no official coin bears both inscriptions together, because they represent distinct political systems, one under a monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, and one under a republic, the French Republic. From a 2003 historical perspective, Queen Elizabeth II had been on the throne for over 50 years, having celebrated her Golden Jubilee in 2002. In Australia, coins from this era were widely minted for everyday circulation, with millions of 5-cent pieces produced annually. In France, the euro had recently replaced the franc January 2002, and Lagerfeld's designs were among the most visible in Europe. Thus, the early 2000s were a period of significant numismatic transition, old currency systems giving way to new, and coin designers like Lagerfeld gaining recognition across the continent. Thematically, the juxtaposition of liberté égalité for Turnet with Queen Elizabeth II's portrait would carry a subtle irony. It would place the monarch's likeness next to the rallying cry of a republic born from rejecting monarchy altogether. Such a combination might exist only on fantasy issues, medals, or art pieces rather than in actual national circulation. Collectors sometimes commission or produce fantasy coins with unusual blends of national symbols, either as commemorative art or to provoke discussion about politics, history, and identity. From a symbolic art perspective, the French motto represents abstract ideals, while the Australian echidna and the Queen's portrait represent concrete, tangible entities, a living monarch and a real animal species. The former appeals to philosophical values, the latter to identity and heritage. Together, they tell a layered story about governance, freedom, and national pride. If such a piece existed in 2003, a collector examining it today would likely focus on historical contrast, monarchy versus republic, engraving styles, Lagerfeld's, contemporary French artistry versus Devlin's naturalistic wildlife depiction, and Rank Broadley's detailed royal portraiture. Political implications: the unlikely coexistence of French revolutionary ideals with the head of the British monarchy. On one coin, numismatic curiosity whether the coin was a fantasy token, an unofficial commemorative piece, or an error. MIS strike combining mismatched dies. In sum, the 2003 Australian 5-cent coin in reality features Elizabeth II and the echidna, but the phrase liberté égalité for Turnet and the name Lagerfeld belong to French Republican currency, particularly the euro. Bringing them together in one narrative offers a fascinating exploration of two nations' iconography, values, and artistic traditions, a conversation between Commonwealth heritage and revolutionary idealism, bound together by the medium of coin.